Welcome back. Now, you may not be aware of this, but there is a new Warhammer Preview Live on the way right now. In fact, depending on when you're watching this, it might be on right now. Although it also might not be. If you're watching this when I uploaded it, there's a good few hours to go, but if you're watching it at 6 o'clock UK time, then it is on right now. So go and watch it. I mean, we're streaming it on this channel, so you'll be able to see it. It's this preview that I am concerned about, because for the first time in a long time, I'm not actually really looking forward to it, which sounds really bad, but I will explain myself, I promise. Before we get into it, this video is sponsored by Into the AM. We'll hear a little bit more from them in a few minutes. Let's be honest, the last couple of previews I think have been somewhat shaky. Somewhat shaky. The one talking about the roadmaps, explaining what was going to happen for the, not like the coming year, but sort of the coming year, but not really the coming year, and also them saying that they were going to not make new 40k stuff for like 3 to 4 months or whatever it was. That one was not ideal. There were some interesting things in the kind of meat of that preview, but overall, there wasn't as much as I think a lot of us were hoping, because whilst they haven't always traditionally done hugely informative roadmaps, some of the roadmaps we got from that preview were kind of worthless in many ways, and it wasn't helped by the fact that some of the things they discussed in the preview didn't make it to the roadmaps that were put together from the information in said preview. All in all, that one was just kind of lackluster. It felt like there was not a huge amount there, and that they wanted to seem like they were giving away information and letting the consumer know what's going on without actually really wanting to say anything about anything, which you can't have it both ways, much though, not just Games Workshop, much though many companies try. Then we had the last preview, and the last preview was fine, but it wasn't a strong one. And I think it needed to be a strong one after the disappointment of the one before. It was especially not helped by the fact that it was mentioned that there would be things like 40k reveals in said preview, and those reveals were Kill Team stuff, which still technically 40k in some ways, yes, but also the main feature for that system was the Christmas Battle Forces, which, whilst interesting and fun, they've not really needed to be shown off in previews in the past, and I don't know that they needed to be shown off in that preview either. Then again, without them, it could be argued that there wouldn't have been enough content in that preview to warrant it being what it was. But then, do we need previews if they have to be padded out with stuff that ordinarily would just be a Warcom article? And this is where we're kind of at the point of today, and why I'm just a little bit concerned and a little bit just not feeling the love this time round. Before we get into the doom and gloom, however, this video is sponsored by Into the AM, who are having their biggest sale of the year, up to 60% off up until the 8th of December, which means frankly, now is the best time to go and grab yourself a really nice graphic t-shirt, a good hoodie, a good coat. Yes, almost everything I own at this point, upper half clothing wise, is from Into the AM, and frankly, I'm okay with it. I'm pretty happy with it. You know what, it's absolutely freezing in here. I'm just going to wear the jacket indoors. I'm just going to wear it in here. Actually, having said that, this is really warm. Like, it's thin, it's light, but it is really, really warm, and I'm already kind of overheating because of the light. This wasn't a good idea after all. Let's go back to the hoodie. The t-shirts are super comfortable. The designs are fantastic. If you're not a big graphic tee person, there's a bunch of colours to choose from. Short sleeve, long sleeve, polo necks, you name it. There is something for literally everybody, and with it being up to 60% off, surely this is the point at which to grab yourself some nice new clothes, right? Not only are Into the AM having their biggest sale of the year, if you use my link in the description down below, then you get a further 10% off. What's stopping you? Check them out using that link down below. Thank you very much to Into the AM for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back to it. If you're not familiar with what's going to be shown off for this particular preview, which I can forgive you if you're not, because there is something that I realised earlier today. They're not doing a great job of publicising this one. Usually there's some sort of timer, there's a ticker on the website. This time round, we don't have that. Now, I haven't looked at these two articles, the World Championships of Warhammer live blog and the other live blog, so it could be that if we click on one of these, we will get a big thing saying, hey, there's a preview on right now, or there's going to be a preview on soon. But I'm scrolling down and I'm not seeing anything that notifies anyone of that, which is an interesting choice and something that perhaps perhaps that should have been thought about. If you're just looking at the website for details of stuff, you're not going to know that it's happening, which is an interesting choice and one that I don't fully understand. Their website, the thing that they use to communicate with, and the thing that has articles for all of the stuff they do, is currently bereft of mentions, which is quite the choice, and again, is not massively helpful when it comes to building a bit of excitement. But what they're going to show off is this stuff. So we've got Warhammer 40k, we've got AOS, we've got the Old World, and we've got Horus Heresy and Black Library. Interestingly, there's no mention of like Underworlds or Necromunda or anything like that, so it looks like we're just getting the big systems this time around. Now, obviously, that's not a problem. I haven't got a problem with them not doing stuff for the smaller systems once in a while. It really doesn't matter. It's more the content. It's more what we are supposed to be seeing, or at least what they've kind of developed in terms of how the previews work. See, I think they've been built from the ground up to be these big events, these big moments whereby they get to show us the cool stuff that they're making, and we get to see something a little bit early and in a slightly different context. For whatever reason, being shown stuff live and having people talk about it has a different feel to just reading about it on the Warcom website. And I'm not saying that the Warcom website is like not suitable for the purpose or anything. It's absolutely fine. I mean, we talk about models revealed on there all the time. But the previews have been kind of built from the ground up to be these events, to actually be something that feels a little bit more, I guess, community focused and driven in that way, which works. I mean, it definitely works. The viewer numbers they get for the previews are absolutely massive most of the time, and understandably so. It's because we all want to see the cool stuff that they make. However, the last couple of previews have felt quite light on the cool stuff and quite heavy on stuff that we just either didn't need to know, in terms of it's not helped us in any way, or has kind of taken what should be a here's this amazing thing that we think you'll like, and just thrown stuff in that ordinarily would just show up in an article. Like, do the battle forces need to be part of a preview show? I'm trying to remember if they've done that in the past. Like, in previous years, have they said, we're going to do a preview show? You're going to see stuff for 40k. The stuff you're going to see are the boxes that we announce on the Warcom site every year. I don't know that they actually have done that before, although I could be totally wrong. Let's face it, there's been quite a few preview shows now, and it's kind of difficult to remember all of them. The main thing is how it's developed as well. Like, that's something that is quite important and has played a big part in, I guess, how they're treated and received. At the start, it was more kind of, when I say casual, maybe casual isn't the right word, because they probably didn't feel all that casual doing it. It was two guys sat there having a conversation, having some links between, pre-recorded sections, and it was kind of fun. It wasn't polished, and it was kind of hamstrung by the fact that it's a corporate broadcast. Something that I've said I don't know how many times now. The idea of having two live commentators doing like the traditional Twitch streamer thing is all well and good if they can talk about the stuff that they want to talk about, and if they're able to actually allow their opinions to be shared fully. That obviously doesn't work for Games Workshop. They can't have two people sitting there going, yeah, I mean, I quite like that, but I've never been a big fan of that faction, so I'm not that fussed. Like, you can't say that. That's not something that they're allowed to say. Everything has to be the best thing they've ever seen, and whilst they can pick favourites, there is a level of... What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say it's disingenuous, because I don't think that's necessarily true. I think especially to work at like Warhammer, like to actually work for Games Workshop and to be in that position and doing that job, the passion that you need to have for the actual product has to be way above what a lot of us have just as customers, right? So I don't think it's fair to say it's disingenuous, but you also can't fully be you when you are under contract to talk positively about the company that you are doing this thing for, right? So then moving away from that into something that was a bit more high production and allowed them to talk about stuff behind the scenes a bit more, kind of what goes into making the games, making the models and so on, I don't think that was a bad move. But if anything, that made it feel even more like it had to be really, really riveting and really, really good. You have the people who are making the games, the people who are sculpting the miniatures, the people who are painting the miniatures for the display that you just saw, that people put a huge amount of effort into. And then, here's a box with some Tau in it, and it's all of this stuff has been available before, and this is our official reveal for Warhammer 40,000 on this preview stream. That feels like not just not like good information for that format, but it also feels like you could have had any number of other things here that would have been far more interesting. And it kind of goes back to that with the roadmaps as well. Got all this great information, all these people on staff to talk about the stuff that people really want to see, and you put up a graphic that says more tanks and are incredibly non-specific about literally everything. That kind of combination of stuff, that thing where it's like, this has been set up to be an event where we get cool reveals and cool information, and you haven't given us either of those. That takes it from a fun experience to feeling like you've just wasted some of your time. And here's the thing, they're not setting out to waste people's time. They're not setting out to make you sit there and then at the end of it think, I mean, I could have done literally anything else then. They're not trying to do that. That's not what they're going for. And they know that that is not good long term. It's not good short term because of the immediate backlash. It's not good long term because it leads to people feeling like, oh, do I really want to catch this one? Well, I'm not really sure, to be honest. That's not what they want. They want these things to be so kind of engaging and driven that people tune in every time. And that is in danger of going away if we keep having sort of lackluster ones show up like we have had for the last two. And that is what is getting me about this time. This is the first time in a while where I've sat here and gone, you know what, it's at the right time of day, that's nice. I don't have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to stream it, that's fun. It's all the big systems as well, so there's potential there for really cool, huge reveals. Like, we could see a ton of Krieg, that would be awesome. But at the same time, the last two were so kind of just not that interesting overall. They had interesting stuff in them, but the overall feel of it wasn't anywhere close to what I'm kind of used to, or at least what it felt like they could be. That this time round, it just sort of, it's not hitting the spot the way that it usually does, you know? Now, what I'm really hoping for, obviously, is that the next video we do talking about a preview will be one saying that they absolutely nailed it. That they did a ton of cool reveals, that they gave us some really cool information about what they're doing and why and how, and that we will come away from this one going, fair play. Fair play. It was kind of rough for a minute there, but you absolutely, you got back on the horse, and that was fantastic. That's what I want to do. So let's keep fingers crossed and hope that that's the way it goes, shall we? Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think of all that in the comments down below. Are you looking forward to it? Are you not looking forward to it? Are you just not that bothered? On your way down to the comments, stop by the description. Click the link for Into the AM. Thank you very much to them for sponsoring the video once again. Remember, if you use that link, then you get 10% off stuff that is already up to 60% off. It's an absolute no-brainer. So yeah, thank you very much to them for sponsoring the video. Thank you to you for watching the video. And I will see you in probably about 5 hours or so.